Brugha was a militarist. He actually was reluctant to become involved in the Civil War. And him and Oscar Traynor, they set up a garrison away from the forecourts as a sort of secondary garrison to sort of hold up the Republic as a sort of fallback. But he was reluctant, and ultimately he met his death, even though he was reluctant to become involved in the Civil War. What happened was the Free State soldiers called him out, and he replied, Níl cuimhnimh am lehéad dhéanamh. So he died in a hail of bullets after approaching the Free State soldiers and after asking his garrison to surrender. Now, the counter-revolution in which he died, which is deepened in the years that followed in the 1920s, really, it did a number of things. Firstly, it sided with empire over republic. So it accepted white dominion status, really, along with Canada, Australia. And in doing so, really, it severed these anti-colonial links, these links to decolonisation that had been there with various countries throughout the 19th and early 20th century. And breaking those links with the Third World, I believe, sort of informs some of the racism in Irish society today. There was a choice to be made between a republic and a white dominion, and that impacts on Irish society to this day. He sided, or the counter-revolution sided with partition over unity. So the nationalists of the North were left to fend for themselves at the mercy of the Orange State. And obviously the lame duck challenge, or the lame duck border commission in 1925 failed to sort of economically challenge the viability of the 6 counties, the political and economic viability of the 6 counties. The counter-revolution also sided with Anglophone Ireland over what was left of Irish-speaking Ireland. There was over 500,000 native Irish speakers in the state in 1926, 543,511. Today there are less than 10% of that, roughly 20,000. The Free State in the 1920s, it implemented really a symbolic cultural programme. Instead of implementing a deep social programme that would have alleviated a lot of the problems in the Western Gaeltacht areas, it put in place a very papered over the cracks, so to speak. So it tried to implement Irish in the schools without improving the living standards of people. It tried to painted the post boxes green. It made a half-hearted attempt to turn the departments of the state into Irish-speaking departments, but that wouldn't wash with people, because emigration was still rife in the Irish-speaking areas and poverty was rife, and English was required, they believed, to go to America or go to London. So to galore sampli then Lanúnicas sure leis an imbrúlachas le fáil freisin. There's other examples of this type of continuity and no real break with imperialism in the revolutionary, counter-revolutionary years of the 1920s. In law, the counter-revolution maintained British common law. There was talk through the years leading up to the revolutionary years of moving to a different type of law, Breton law. I'm not saying Breton law was ideal or it's a utopian form of law, but it was something that was considered, and then they reverted back to British common law. In administration, according to J.J. Lee, the historian, 98% of civil servants from the imperial administrative system carried on working in the Free State system. So, you know, there's a lesson there today probably for any sort of government, any incoming Republican government that wants to deal with the civil service. You can't implement change if you keep the same sort of civil service intact, the same philosophy, conservative philosophy. In finance, Ernest Blythe, the first finance minister, his policies were carbon copies of Westminster's economic policies, and the punt was shackled to the sterling, essentially. So even down to maybe incongruous things like W.T. Cosgrave wearing top hats and coattails, trying to mimic the British aristocracy. It might seem like a small thing, but really it's a signifier of where the Free State was going in terms of cultural and political allegiance. It was conservative, it was Catholic, it was Anglophone. So little wonder then that the state has lurched from dependence on one empire to dependence on another empire, and that this happened really in the 1960s and 70s with the lurching through T.K. Whitaker's economic policies into global capitalism, into dependence on the EU and then foreign direct investment and US multinationals. It's all interlinked right back to 1922. So the legacy, I suppose, to finish on this note, of the counter-revolution still weighs heavily on us. There is a direct continuity with the sort of ills of society today that we see all around us. And I suppose it's our duty then, as Republicans, to analyse what the different forces, both political and cultural and class forces as well, that defeated the Republic of 1922 to 23, what they were, and then to work on and strive towards breaking them and breaking with empire, as Cathal Brugha sought to do. Good morning. Good luck to Bill.
Thanks very much for that, Kerron. Yeah, there's a lot of different talking points, things for people to think about.